Tilted
Ball. Yeah.
Woo! Hey everyone, welcome back to Kilted Balls podcast. We took a little break there for like a week, so we had a whole bunch of stuff come up last week, and so we weren't able to record, which is honestly super rare for us. I don't remember us ever, like, we haven't missed that many weeks.
I think it's the first one. I mean, maybe you remember differently, but I thought that was our first week we had actually missed, because we've been late before. But although we didn't have a chance to talk, I was going to say we should not mention it and just mark this one as the next episode.
Well, I mean, it will get marked as the next episode for sure. I wondered if we missed when I was in Europe one time.
Oh, you might be right, because you were there for over a week.
But I don't know. That was a long time ago, like 4
You might have
years
recorded
ago.
when you were there. Didn't you take your computer with you? I think we recorded when you were there.
I do not.
You were like in the hotel lobby.
I've recorded in hotel lobbies in lots of places. I just don't know if I did in Europe. So, anyway, people, welcome back. We're so glad we missed you. We've had so much going on. It's been crazy couple weeks. Right?
It's been awesome. Yep.
And yeah. And I don't know, do we want to stick with our like, I had wanted to talk about stuff, but maybe we should like recap what the heck has been going on. So you look like, I mean, you've been posting tons of videos and stuff and kind of letting us know, but for users who don't look at the minis, you've been selling some vehicles. Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun. It's been going well, I think, for this is my first full month, and between now and Saturday, I'd like to get out a few more. I'd like this to be a 3-car week, so we'll see.
What day did you start?
I started on the 14th of April.
Okay.
So there was a lot of training, but this is my first full month.
Yeah.
But I didn't sell anything till May 1st, so that worked out anyway.
Yeah, so it works out like the correct way. Are you going to hit 10?
It's going to have to be a busy weekend for me to hit 10. I'm at 5 right now.
Okay, so you got to get 5.
Not counting the one that I gave away. So that one does not count.
What one did you give away?
It was technically a half a one. So what happens, the customer told the salesman that they were coming in, but they didn't say when.
Oh.
So he had another customer scheduled. They came in. The other people came in. They asked for him. I was like, he's busy. And so I did everything. But because they were a referral, so he had already reached out to him and everything.
Yeah.
And he was going to training in Charleston for Volvo.
Okay.
For like a week, but they have like a fast start bonus, and he would have been a half a car away from his fast start bonus. So I was like, he asked me, and I was like, okay. And I asked, like, okay, is this frowned upon, or would we get in trouble? He's like, it happens all the time. Like, the ownership probably doesn't like it, but it happens.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. So he got his fast start bonus, which is 7 in the first 15 days. And,
nice.
He got the bonus, then he was gone. So, yeah, he's like, I'll just owe you one.
So he
so
was
if there's
hired
a
about
time,
the same time as you?
No.
Well, then how did he get 7 in the first 15 days?
Of the month, I'm sorry. So if you sell 7 vehicles in the first 15 days of the month, you get a bonus.
I see.
Called Fast Start. There's a lot of little ways to make extra money.
That's fun.
So,
I like that. That's kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But your goal was your goal to get 10 the first month? Because that was my goal for you.
I wanted, that was my my intention every day is to sell 1 a day. I mean, I don't beat myself up if that doesn't happen. Like today, I didn't even talk to a customer. Oh, I did talk to some customers. They were just kind of looking around. But anyways, so that's ideal. But 10 is where
today's your day off.
So I traded my days off. Morgan graduates tomorrow from kindergarten. And if you have a kid who is not able to graduate from kindergarten, I'm sorry.
I don't think you graduate from kindergarten.
Morgan has a cap and gown and everything for tomorrow.
Told you they graduate from kindergarten is pretty high on crap.
It's a whole thing tomorrow. So, but ultimately, I'm happy this happened because they were like, "Oh, try to trade with somebody." So all the shifts are still filled, whatever. But nobody else in the store works or has Wednesdays off. So all the salespeople have either Tuesday or Thursday off.
Oh.
So I was like, they were like, "Okay, so just take Wednesday off." And I was like, "Can I switch my day to Wednesday?" Because if Wednesday is a day that everybody is there right now, so except for me, so then Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's going to be less for like leads and things like that. So I was like, yeah, I'd rather just have Wednesday off. So from now on, I have Wednesdays off.
Oh, nice. Wednesdays and Sundays, right?
Yeah. So it's like work 2, day off, work 3, day off, work 2. So that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good in less competition. So
yeah.
That'll be great.
So what was going on with you? You had a lot of stuff go on too.
Man, I just had tons and tons go on. Let's see. One of my fun ones is we were hiring a new person in a pretty important position, and leadership, who I've kind of talked about before. Like, I preach a lot of kind candor, or as somebody else said, honesty is kindness. I've heard that. Or truthfulness is kindness. And one of the leaders has like, he can't tell people no. Like, he just can't. He can't tell people no, and he can't, like, he can never be that person who's like, oh, you did something wrong. Like, he can be passive aggressive, but even that he's not very good at. But he was doing interviews, and I try to help people out, right? So I'm like, listen, don't F this up. It's kind of important. And they had a whole bunch of applicants, and he's like, I'm going to interview 5. And I'm like, don't do that. Interview like 6 to 9, because otherwise it'll look like you're stacking the deck, right?
Yeah.
You've got a whole bunch of internals, you're putting in that 5. Like, it just looks bad, so don't do that. He's like, okay. So he puts 6. And then his boss comes in and is like, what are you doing? And I warned him. And he's like, well, those are the only good qualified candidates. And the boss is like, no, there's 3 right off the top that are way better candidates. Put them in. Like, interview them. And he's like, I'm being micromanaged. I'm like, or you just don't understand how the world works. So he puts in 9, right? Goes through the interviews. In the interviews, 2 people stand out as, like, they're pretty darn good. They're probably going to get it. 2 people were like, yeah, maybe we have some questions. And then everybody else is out for whatever reasons, right? So he decides to bring back 4 for the second round. And everybody's like, well, that's weird because there's only 2 that are good. But we get it. You want to include the other 2 because maybe something will come out and they'll end up being really impressive. So whatever. So they schedule 4. Everybody's like, whatever. Sounds good. They're scheduled for Monday all day, like an hour between each one. Take a tour, get interviewed again. And Saturday night, he lets his team know, I'm going to bring back a 5th. And, like, the team is like, everybody but, like, 2 people on the team were like, that was, like, a hard no. Like, that person was like, just a straight out, no, they were bad. Like, not even a potential. And he's like, well, it's my decision. I'm doing it. And then he wrote a letter to everybody and said, hey, I'm interviewing this person, and I know nobody liked this person, but it's my call. I get to do it. I'm doing it. And I know they're not going to get it, but I want to give them another interview. So now everybody's pissed. They feel like he's not being transparent, right? And he didn't explain himself.
Is she like super hot, or like, is she like Sharon Stoningham or something?
Yeah, she's not hot to me, but I heard during an interview that she was like, yeah, it's hard because I'm so good looking that nobody thinks that I have brains. So she's that kind of person, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that caused a huge disruption. Because it's like the next day, is the
Yeah.
interviews, and everybody's out of the building, like everybody's gone, and so then I'm getting questions all day long about it, and I'm like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
people are batshit crazy. That's just the way it is, right? And out of those 5 that they brought back, right? Well, let's go to the 4. Out of those 4, 3 of them were the people his boss said you have to add because they're the only qualified. So he was keeping 4. He was only going to originally do 5. And out of those 5 he was going to do, only 1 of them made it to the second round.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right? He just, like, that's just not being good. But
Yeah.
what everybody assumes is that somebody, like, begged him to bring the other person back, and he can't say no. And so then he has to eat crow about it. Right? And it's just like, no, you should have just told him no. Like, you should have said sorry.
Yeah.
Like, now you look like crap, and now everybody is upset with you. And I was just like...
Like, I'm not worried about this.
I'm like, I tried to help you. You chose the wrong path. That's on you. That's on you. And I'm done. Like, I did my helpful deed, and you didn't listen. So. Good luck. Good luck. So.
Oh my, yeah, that's not exciting.
Well, and I, to me, I'm just like, it doesn't affect me, because like the main person, like the cream rises to the top 90% of the time. And as I told him early on, I'm like, here's the deal. If you screw up, it's not a big thing because we'll just fire him. And he's like, well, I don't want people fired. I'm like, that's just the way of the world. So if you hire somebody who sucks, like, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. We'll fire them and we'll move on and do the process again. And I'm like, you need to keep in mind that firing is a legitimate option. So screw it up. It makes no difference to me.
By people who have more say than you do.
Yeah. I'm like,
so just do it right the first time.
Like, you can do it right or not. And I'm like, and it literally doesn't matter because I'll just terminate them and move on with life. So.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, I was thinking, one of the things that I really wanted to talk about last time, and it's come up multiple times since, especially because I have a kiddo who's working and they're around people I think our age or younger. She keeps calling them all the old guys, and so I assume that means us. But we were talking about your own kid, and not you and I were talking about your kid. Me and her were just talking about the old guys at work, and we were not laughing, about how a lot of people, and like people try to classify this by generation. And that's what my kiddo was getting grumpy about. They're like, they try to say it's this generation or that. And I'm like, actually, it's probably all generations or upbringings, but it cracked me up that we've talked about it so many times. Gary Vee talks about it. You've got to be willing to eat crap. Not literally, people. Somebody asked me, they're like, you would eat crap? And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Like, you've got to
be a listener.
You've got to go through tough times to get to the good times. Like that's how you grow. You've got to be buried in the dirt to grow. Like that's how it works. And so many people don't want to go through the pain of growth, right? And that's part of it. And so, like, we'll see a lot of people right now who are like, my nephew. So again, this is like what I mean. He was complaining about young people, and he's a young guy, right? Like, he's like 20, 21, 22, and he was complaining. He like is a manager, like a foreman at a farm, and he's like, we'll get like these high school kiddos, and he goes, I'll tell them straight out, like, you've got to be a hard worker to be in this job. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm super hard worker. I love hard work. And he goes, and they normally last about 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
He goes, because they don't want to work hard. And then they're like, oh, this job's the worst. And they leave. And he goes, meanwhile, my migrant workers are just busting ass the whole time. I'm like, yeah. But, and I know you were talking about that, but it's something that we're seeing a lot where people don't want to work hard. They just want the success.
Yes.
That's not
success comes with a price.
It does. It does. And you know what? If you don't want to work hard, well, there's so many jobs out there where you don't have to. Like, go to McDonald's, go to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to choose the hard gig.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing's going to happen, right? Like, if you, like, you'll go to Walmart and be working and you'll never move up the chain because you're not willing to do the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll just stay there as a greeter for your whole life, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, even for us 25, 30 years ago, this is a different podcast.
25 to 30 years ago, it's a crazy different podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like 30 years ago, I was thinking about this. I had a guy recently ask me, he was like, did you get a big inheritance like when your dad passed? And I was like, honestly, I don't even know if there was like any inheritance at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I just figured there had to be because you bought like all those rentals like when you first started working. I'm like, that was an inheritance. That was hard ass work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would be out, and you remember this, right? Like I would be out until 9 or 10 at night working, rehabbing properties because I would work all day. And then I'd go right from work to the properties, and I'd be working till 9, 10. My one partner would make us go till like midnight. Then I'd come home, go to bed, wake up at 6, and do the same thing again until the properties were rehabbed and rented. I'm like, it was not an easy task. Nobody like gave me an inheritance to do that. It was just hard work. Like I put in that time to get what I have now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was talking about that with the Sheets and Zach, who I'm shadowing a lot. Not anymore, but we became friends over that time, and we were talking about, I was talking about the Sheets, and it was very successful when we were doing shows. It was a lot different game, and I said, but most people, even though like what I was bringing home was very significant. Most people would not be willing to put in the 15 years of driving all over the country, of being gone every weekend, of not, missing major things. Like, there was a lot of stuff that I was not there for because I was building a business.
Yes.
I didn't have kids, who like all that stuff. But there was a decision made, like, we're going to build a business. We're not going to have a family.
Yeah. And you were literally a gypsy, right? Like you didn't have a house to call your own, really. Like you were all out and about doing stuff. But that's what it took to grow that business. And
like when we were in Florida, I would leave home in June and come back in November.
Yes. And people just always are like, oh no, it's just magic. Like it just happens. Takes
now, all of a sudden you're there.
All of a sudden you're there. Well, and I was thinking about it recently. My wife got named a trustee recently. And so we've been like looking at the contracts and stuff. And I'm like flipping through the contract. I'm telling her what it means. And I'm like, holy cow. Like my whole life has brought me to the moment where I can look at contracts and interpret contracts with the best of them. And it was funny because today she was like, oh yeah, I talked to the attorney today. I'm like, oh, how did it go? And she was like, they said the same thing you said. So you were right on the money with everything. I'm like, I have a lot of experience.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I spend all day long looking at contracts. So I'm like, it's like that's not tooting your horn that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so good, I can do that. Like, no, trust me. If you spend every day for 10 years looking at contracts, either you're an idiot or you're going to be able to read the contracts. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's not that hard.
It's that whole 10,000 hour thing.
It is. Like, you just spend so much time. And I had somebody recently ask me that. Like, they were like, hey, can you, like, write me up? I forget. It was, like, some letter of agreement or it was, like, a land contract. I'm like, oh, yeah. And they're like, how do you just know how to do that? And I'm like, because I've done a lot. Like, I've read a lot. I've done a lot.
Like, I've been there.
Like, I didn't know how to do this 25 years ago. 25 years ago, I had no clue. Right?
Yeah.
I go, but now I'm as fast as the AI. Like,
yeah. Right there.
Like, I can't do the accounting. Like, that stuff I have to, like, make my spreadsheets and, like, I have to figure stuff out because that's not something I do every day.
Yeah.
But so many of our kiddos nowadays, they don't realize that you got to do the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Then the good stuff will come, right? And I was telling a friend recently, their kid is doing stuff, and they're like, yeah, they're kind of tired about being a waitress. They want to work in an office and do this. And I'm like, yeah, I have one of my kids who's, doing an internship, sophomore in college, making $27 an hour. And they're like, how
Mm-hmm.
does that happen? I'm like, because she put in the time in high school. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't have to. Like, we didn't care about grades. We didn't care about all that. Like, we were like,
Mm-hmm.
do whatever you want. But she was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm studying every night. I'm gonna work till midnight getting this stuff right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. And now she's able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because
She's able to reap that.
right, she put in all the time. So, like, either way, you have to put in the time.
Yeah. Well, even like one of the other guys there, he's like, you're so good with customers. Like, how are you this good with all your customers? Like, I listen to you talk. Like, you don't have really any experience in cars. And I was like, well, it's not the cars. I said, have you ever? And just like I just said, you ever heard of the 10,000 hours? To become a master. Like, that was like maybe 2010. Like, I finally got my 10,000 hours in, and I said, you don't understand. Like, I would be at events, and I would. And not necessarily talk to every person. I mean, every person did not stop, but I said I engaged every single person, or tried to, that walked by my booth. So you have to practice things, and you have to interact with people different ways, and just sales, yeah, you have to.
And you're
Like,
talking to
I did this
100,000
stuff.
people at a show.
Yeah, there were shows that were literally seeing 100,000 people in a weekend.
Right. So it's not like you did it once. You did it 100,000 times in a weekend, multiplied by like 30 weekends. Like, you're going to get good at talking to people fast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you did
You
it
had
for
to.
an extended period of time. So
Yeah.
now it's like, it's somebody recently, a similar thing where, I was presenting awards, right? So it's like a whole auditorium, and I like run up there and I present an award, and I come back, and there's these other people around me. They're like, I'm so nervous, like I'm shaking. I'm like, why? And they're like, I know, I do this kind of thing for a living, but it still makes me nervous all the time. They're like, don't you get that way? And I'm like, no, because I literally talk in front of people all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So no, this isn't weird to me. Like, I just get up and I talk, like,
Yeah.
like I was nervous, I'm sure, at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
like a long
Yeah.
time ago. Now, like, literally, you could put me in a room. It happens. I've been in rooms full of people, and they're like, "Can you say a few words?" I'm like, "Sure," and I'll talk.
Yeah.
And people are like, "That's so amazing." I'm like, "Okay."
Well, it was funny. It just reminded me when I was working on my master's of education. Like, at first I was in the classroom in University of Phoenix, and we had to like do presentations and stuff.
Sure.
And no one wanted to talk, of course. And I was like, I'll talk, like, whatever. And then how most of those things are, like, everybody writes every single word on their PowerPoint presentation. I was like, no. Like, you can write a couple things up there, like, so people can see them, and it'll help, like my just jog my memory just in case. I'm like, but no, this is entertaining. Like, we're not going to stand up there and read from the stupid thing. I said, you guys do that stuff, I'll do this stuff, but it has to be like this. And it was. I got up there, I could see it, bye, did my thing.
Yes. And that's
it's just other people. It's just other, like, and that's one of the things that most people are scared of, is public speaking.
I don't know why.
I don't know. like one thing. I mean, for sake of argument, we'll say 99% of all the other people who have this body form on this earth are humans. So that you're just talking to other humans. Like, when you're in a thing like that, it's just people.
It literally, and like, you wouldn't have any trouble talking to a room full of dogs.
Mm-hmm. Or dolphins.
Or dolphins. Or ants. Ants is my favorite. Like, I had some kiddos once go like, do you ever get like nervous talking in front of you? I'm like, do you ever get nervous talking to ants? They're like, no.
Did they catch it?
After a minute, because they're like, no. Why would I get nervous talking to ants? I'm like, exactly. Why would I get nervous talking to you? And they're like, wait.
Wait a second.
Do you see us as ants? And I'm like, well, you're not as organized. So
Maybe not.
maybe
If I
that
need to
is.
reevaluate.
I'd have to like really think that through a little bit. So, you know,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's one of the issues I think a lot of people have with deities, right? We talk about religions
Hmm.
and stuff all the time. Like people own ant farms, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love my ants." Right, but
Hmm.
they're not sad when one ant dies. They're only sad if the
Yeah.
whole colony dies.
Hmm.
Right? Like
Yeah.
I'm like if you are thinking that the supreme being is all powerful way, 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 way above you, like
Yeah. Same idea.
like how do you treat beings that are way lower? And you're like, well, yeah, but that's why the supreme being is way better than me. I'm like, but you really care about dogs, but you're not out
Hmm.
there saving all the dogs.
Hmm. Yeah, that's funny. People like just on Bashar, people talk about that a lot. Like, oh, I really want to do this to save the dogs. He's like, well, what are you doing? Oh, I can't. I got this and that. He's like, you don't have any time to save one dog. Like, you can't save one dog.
Mm-hmm.
You make one dog's life better. Like, it's
Yeah.
a step in the right direction.
Nope.
So
Nope.
it's
People
funny.
can't. People can't.
Like, no, I gotta do it all. Well, it's one thing that started this podcast. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to have all. We're still recording. I mean, I've upgraded my mic setup. You know, but you don't need hundreds of dollars. I mean, tens of dollars because my first headphones weren't this nice. Like tens of dollars to start a podcast. And one of the guys at work, he's like, I'd love to start a podcast. I'm like, why don't you?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, and I was like, no, like you don't really want to start a podcast.
No,
If you wanted to start a podcast, you would.
That's exactly right. Don't say I would love to do this because you can. You can.
Hmm.
Right.
It's Wayne Dyer this morning was saying that exact same thing. I started listening to Wayne again
Nice.
this week. Exact same thing. Like you don't need to have those limiting beliefs. Like if you really want to do it, just do it. Like,
You really
well,
don't have
but
to
he worked it into also like going to bed. What are you focusing on the 5 minutes before you go to sleep? Like what you can't do, what you don't like, what you're upset about,
Are you
or
supposed to
are you
focus on
focused?
something?
Well, that's what well,
Like
you
lay
don't
down,
want to
I'm like-
focus on all the bad stuff. No, the 5 minutes before that. No, it
I
takes
don't
me
know if
like
I have
30
5
seconds to
minutes
fall
before
asleep.
that.
So, yes,
If
focus
I
on
look
focus
at
on
my-
what you can do. Focus on the good stuff.
If I look at my app, so this will tell you how bad I am. So it says last night that I fell asleep at 10:31.
And you lay down at 10:30.
I'm pretty sure I set my phone in the charger at 10:30.
That's awesome.
So, and it says I was awake. Or, I mean, it says I was asleep. Deep sleep. Not just asleep. It says you hit the deep sleep.
Well, I'm sure you had a busy day yesterday. You came home from vacation and
Came home.
you had to rest up from
What's
vacation.
funny to me sometimes is sometimes my Fitbit will tell me I'm asleep when I'm like, I was not asleep.
I was just standing there.
I was in bed, but I was like reading my book or like doing something. Like
That's awesome.
and it's like and I'll look and it'll be like, you went to sleep last night at 10:05 and I'm like, I didn't put my phone down until 10:15. I'm like, oh.
You guys don't have a TV in your room, right?
We actually do now.
Do you? Okay.
But we like
just
almost never. Well, let me rephrase that. Like Amy and I very rarely watch it unless somebody's watching our downstairs TV, and we'll go up there to watch TV.
okay.
But her and Cal, like for most of like the school year, would watch like Dr. Pol. You know, like they'd go
While
up
he's
there.
falling asleep.
They'd go up there at like 8 or 8:30, and they'd watch a Dr. Pol or two, and then
Okay.
yeah, now they're listening to like a book on tape each night. But
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Are they following along in the book or just listening?
just listening.
Okay. But still, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, oh yeah, yeah. And I don't know like what started that, but he's enjoying it, and so they're listening to it. So I mean, he reads, so I'm not worried.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I saw him today reading a book while I was like cooking dinner. I like looked in and he's reading a book. I was like, oh good, he's reading.
That's
something.
awesome.
So
That's super awesome.
yeah, that's what we like him to be, reading a lot. Like not him, but
Mm-hmm.
like our kids in general. Like Cora
Yeah.
was frustrating because we couldn't get her to read a lot, and now she won't stop reading. So,
Mm-hmm.
but either way,
That's
like
awesome.
I think that's important for brain development to get a lot of reading in. So
Mm-hmm. Probably could have helped me.
it might have, might have. I mean, you read
I
a
didn't
lot
start.
now.
I didn't start reading till my brain was fully developed. Sadly.
It's never too late. It's never too late to start. That's what I
Nope.
say.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man, I thought we had something else to chit chat about today. Do, 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 do,
Um.
do.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff last. I was ready to talk about, but I don't remember now.
Okay, well,
Um.
let me give you a bad one.
Oh.
Maybe it's not bad. But listeners, you're probably going to think it's bad. I don't know. We have been ripping on my wife lately. Me and the
Uh
kids. Me and the kids have been ripping on her.
oh.
Right?
Oh.
So I said before, she was named trustee of an estate,
Mm-hmm.
co-trustees. And basically it means like she has to like run the entire business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her CFO job. So in that job, they talked their last time, and they have an acronym for it, and I can't remember what the acronym is. And I'd call her in here, but she'd get super pissed. So shh,
Mm-hmm.
listeners, don't
Maybe
tell
she
her.
won't listen this far of the episode.
She never listens to these episodes, so we're safe. But it's like
She's like, I've heard those two enough in my life.
it's like something like huge, big, audacious goals, right?
Okay.
Like H bag or something. I don't know, but it's like they're like they told her like before one of their meetings recently. They're like, "Hey, we're all making these like H bags or whatever acronym they give it because everybody has acronyms
Mm-hmm.
for everything. Nobody can just say make a stupid big goal." But
Mm-hmm.
they're like, make, the stupid big goal. We think it's really important to have really, really big goals, which we've talked about on,
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Itzler says that. We've talked about the yearly calendars making goals, but this was like, make a goal that is unreachable, like that you don't think is like anywhere at all possible. Huge, big, audacious goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, make a goal. And she's not a goal person. She never has been.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to have her make goals. I've tried to make family goals. I've tried to make budgeting goals. Like, I'm kind of a goal person, like at least subconsciously. But she's like, nah, nope. Like I just do my
Mm-hmm.
thing, and good things happen.
That's where that works.
So they were like, you've got to make a goal, and she's like, no, I can't make a goal. And they're like one guy was like, I'm gonna run a marathon on every continent. Like that was their goal, and somebody else had another one, and they're like, you have to make a goal. And so finally she's like, fine, okay, here's my goal. I am going to buy a Class B and 2 electric bikes with cash so I can like travel and do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, good goal, good goal. And she's like, whatever. She's been talking about how like one of her issues with her other job is she's like, I can't, I need to just take that over. I need to just take it over. And but she doesn't have like the aggression that we have where we would just take it over. So she's like, I just need to take it over, blah, 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 blah. Well, that was the guy who died and made her trustee over the entire business.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, son of a bitch. She's like, I just took that over, which was kind of like my goal. And I took it over, and like, I might be able to pay cash for that stuff within like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm like, so you basically just killed the guy with your goals.
That'll make her set more goals.
She's like, and the kids are all like, you manifested that. You put that in the universe, and the universe said, we're going to make it happen. And that was the way the universe made it happen. We're like, you should kind of feel responsible for that. I'm like, and I tell my kids, I'm like, be careful what you put out there. Like, think about what it means for you to be successful at whatever you're talking about doing. Because people ask
Mm-hmm.
me, like you and I've talked about it. Like you've told people, like, oh my gosh, like he's so good with dice or whatever. He's so
Mm-hmm.
good. And people are like, why don't you make stuff happen all the time? I'm like, because you don't understand the consequences of having
Yeah.
things go right for you. So
Mm-hmm.
if you make things go right for you, that means they're going wrong for somebody else. The universe
Mm-hmm.
has to stay in balance.
Yep. Like sometimes you might be in a traffic jam, but someone else has to learn something from that traffic jam, and you're just along for the ride,
Yes.
balancing out.
It has to balance out. Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
somebody needed to get somewhere really fast. Like maybe their wife was having a kid, and that's what caused the traffic jam. They're running a red light, other cars
Mm-hmm.
spun out, right? Like their positive made you have a
Mm-hmm.
negative, and that's
Mm-hmm.
everything has to be in balance. So careful what you wish for, people. Careful what you put out there.
Mm-hmm. That was what was isn't that just a movie or something where it gets deeper in that?
Does it?
I want to say there's a movie. And when I say recent, I mean like in the last 20 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and somebody recently asked, they're like, well, what would you do? Like, they were like, well, like, what kind of car would you get if you had like tons of money? And I'm like, I got the car I want.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, right, but what if you did this? What if you did this? I go, here's the problem. I go, when you live your life in a state of gratitude and thankfulness, like Kilted Balls preaches that, right? All the time. Like live in a sense of gratitude, live in a sense of thankfulness. If you're always living that way, you can't answer that question.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even at work. Yeah. There's all these sweet there's tons of sweet cars.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, if I wanted a different car payment, I could have a different car payment.
Yeah.
But I even said it today. I'm like, I'm so glad that I love my car. Like the kids can fit in it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I miss the Boxster, but the kids can fit in it.
Mm-hmm.
I get like 60 miles to the gallon, gets me excited.
Yes.
And so it just and we have a lot of really sweet stuff, but it's just like, I mean, it's cool to look at, it'll be cool to drive, but yeah, just I am in that state of gratitude.
Well, and
Just
5 years
thankful.
ago, somebody did say, like, if you had money, what would you buy? And I'm like, I'd buy a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And like at the time, they were like, why don't you buy a truck? And I'm like, I don't need a truck, and I've got my van.
Yeah.
But like, I have a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if the vehicle I'd buy is a truck, I got a truck. Why would I go buy a truck?
Mm-hmm.
I've got my van. That's what I like is my van. Why would I like? But I'm like, that's because I'm always happy with what I've got.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard when you're happy with what you got to answer those questions. So
Mm-hmm.
moral of the story, people live in a world of gratitude, which with our last like 2 minutes, the car thing made me think of something else.
Awesome.
It was like one of those things that's like compares rich people to middle class people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you know what the difference is between like rich and middle class? They're like, middle class people think they should pay off their car or buy it with cash. And they're like,
Oh, I've seen different things like
yeah,
that.
and they're like, rich people would never pay it in cash or buy it off. And I'm like, what
Mm-hmm.
are you talking about? And then I had a thought. I had a friend recently who bought a car, and it was an expensive car, and they got a loan for it. And I was thinking, why'd they get a loan? Like, they got a loan. It was like 2.7 or 3%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so they got the loan, and I'm like, that's weird. They have cash. They could have just paid cash for it. And then I'm like, oh, like even my worst account is making 4% right now.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be one more percent. So why would you put your capital into the car, which instantly depreciates,
Mm-hmm.
instead of taking a loan on it and putting your
Yeah.
money in the other one, and then you're making more money than you would have if you bought the car, and it's not depreciating.
Yeah. That just occurred to, like, was it last week? But I was thinking about that same thing because you see TikToks and stuff talking about that. And I was like, well, shoot, because we bought the van because the accident happened. I was driving around the little rental. It wasn't working. Like, let's just go buy something and then the insurance will figure it out.
Yeah.
So we bought our van used. It was a demo.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't thinking, like, I just wasn't thinking about it. Like, I should have paid more. Because on new vehicles, you can get a lot lower rate. You can get a ton lower rate. So the payments could have been the same on a brand new vehicle or a used vehicle, because the used vehicle, your percentage is higher
Right.
that you pay.
Right.
So,
Either way.
like, that just occurred to me last week. I was like, that was silly.
Well, and
So,
now it makes me think,
happens.
like, if my wife does say, like, ooh, I want to go pay cash for this motorhome, I'm going to be like, no. Like,
I mean, even if you just take that money and set it into an account and just pay out of that account, then
yes.
yeah,
Like, at least then you're liquid. So,
leverage that money.
though it's interesting because I had the thought today in one of my accounts, I have it totally liquid and it's making 4.1% interest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I realized today I could pay off one of my rentals that's at 6.8% interest.
See, that's different.
And so I'm like, ooh, is 2% or 2.5% worth me not being liquid right now? Or is it more important to be liquid right now?
Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, what if something happens and you could buy another property?
That's exactly right. Like, so I'm like,
With
if
that
I
money.
need to buy a property, I kind of want that, liquid. I'm like, on the other hand, I'm like, getting 2.5% better is a wise investment. So, yeah. So now I'm like, what do I do? What do I do?
All torn.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of good stuff. Anything
Lot of
to
awesome-
end the night with?
I'd say this episode is better than I thought it was going to be. Not that I thought it was going to be bad, but I think this is a top 3 for sure.
Top 3, baby. You heard it from
Lots of knowledge dropped. Yes.
Lots of knowledge. Lots of fun. All right, people. Well, thank you for joining us. Stick with us. Maybe we'll record again this weekend. We'll have to see. But this is Ballbuster signing off.
Guilty Dragon Jerry. Love you all.